Hey crafty people, it's Tasha. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel. I'm super excited to be taking part in this hop today to celebrate Debbie J hitting her 4,000 subscriber milestone. It's amazing. Well done, Debbie. Congratulations, and thank you for having me. So I'm going to be making two projects today. I'm starting by stamping out this thank you, scripty lettered stamp. I love it. It's from Honeybee, and I love these. So I've stamped it out in some VersaFine, and I'm just gonna add some Wow clear gloss embossing powder over the top. I just really like how that looks. Now I've got these lips. These again, Honeybee. All the products I'm using today are Honeybee, I think, in the main. And I saw this stamp and I knew as soon as I saw it that I needed to get it because it would work so well with one of the new embossing powders that I've just brought out with Wow. Obviously, I've known about these powders for a while. It takes a little while to get everything done. So this card has been living rent-free in my head since then. I'm so excited to actually make it and share it. So I'm going to stamp these beautiful lips, and then I'm stamping them in Wow Ultra Slow Drying Embossing ink because it is the best ink for embossing with. And I'm going to add, this is a beautiful red powder. It's called Say You'll Remember Me, and it's part of my Reputation trio. If anyone knows where I got the inspiration for these names and powders from, drop it in the comments. I'd love to know if you I'd love to meet somebody else who gets it. So I'm just tipping that over the top. At this point I haven't set that clear powder either on the thank you. I've just been really careful how I go about adding the extra powder and stamping and all that. What's my jig? And I'm going to start heating those up. You want to keep your heat gun moving. It's going to reduce the chance of warping. My camera does go a little bit funny here because it keeps switching between focusing on my card and on my hand and heat tool. But you can tell when it is all heated because it all becomes nice and shiny glossy. I decided that I wanted to up those lips a bit, so I decided to stamp over it again. So I always like to leave my stamp in my Misty until I've fully decided that I definitely don't want to stamp again, and then that always gives you the option to if you want to. I'm just going to check that it is still in the right place, and then I'm going to stamp it down again with the same ink. Now when I add powder over the top again, it's just going to make those lips even more glossy and even I just think this stamp's amazing. I love it. I just love it. So I got a little bit of stray powder around, and obviously I don't want that to spoil my card. It's a nice clean and simple card, and with that kind of card, you know, little mistakes, they show up really strongly in a simple card. So I'm just going to brush those away with a dry brush, and then I'm going to heat set that. Again, you can see when I tip it that it's lovely and beautiful and glossy. I love it. Now, I just want to take the time to say that I am sorry that I cannot join you live today, but I am here in spirit, and also I am here in the chat, so drop in to say hello. I'd love to have a chat with you guys and see how you're enjoying the hop so far. So that is my first project done. Nice, clean, simple, easy card. Now we're going to move on and we're going to get a little bit more technical. So again, I'm going to be using my Reputation trio. Then this is the, I want to say Magnolia. dye from Honeybee. I love their lovely layers flower dyes. So I've cut all 4 pieces from some cardstock, and you can see that I have already begun the embossing process. I'm going to use the same Say You'll Remember Me red powder, and I want to make those 4 layers all from the same powder, but I do want there to be a difference. You know, you'd have slightly darker colours for the back layer and getting lighter as you come forward through the layers. So I want to still do that, but I want the whole thing to be the same red and the same tone and just beautiful. So I'm going to emboss several layers on the same piece. So as you might be able to tell from those other pieces that are just sitting there, you can see that they are different strengths of red. They get darker. It's all the same powder. It's just multiple layers. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean with this back layer. I'm going to do this one 4 times. So here is layer number 1. I'm just finishing heat setting that. Once that's done, I'm going to press that into, I'm going to let it dry just slightly. So as you can see, it's the same sort of colour as that first layer, and it's much lighter than those other 2. I'm going to let that cool just a little bit, and then I'm going to press it into my embossing ink again and just cover it all over again with powder. And then I'm going to heat set that again. Now, I've used a lot of this powder. I've done a lot of making for the release and just having fun playing with it. And it might seem like you're using a whole ton of that powder, but honestly, these little pots, they go so far. I've embossed like full panels. I've done 2 layers on full panels. I've done all the layers on these. I've used it loads, and as you can see, there is loads of powder still left, so honestly you don't need to worry too much about that. As we get additional layers on, rather than using some more embossing ink, I'm just going to use the sort of warmth and the tackiness of that powder, that embossing before it fully cools, just to just add more powder straight onto that. So I heated the whole thing and tipped powder on, and nothing really stuck. So I decided that I was going to work in sort of little sections, and I'm heating up each bit and then applying the powder to it, and then I'm going to heat set that. Now, I don't need to cover the entire of this die cut with all 4 layers, because a lot of those petals are going to be hidden behind the ones that are in front of them. So I've just kind of had a look to see which are the petals that are going to be on show on this back layer, and I'm concentrating my embossing in those areas. So here you can see my 4 layers. Now these lovely layers dies have like etched detailing in them, and with 4 layers of embossing, that's hidden. So I decided that I was going to run those back through my machine, and those lines just got pressed into that embossing, and I love how that came out. Really happy with it. I'm going to stamp the same thank you sentiment, and I'm doing it in exactly the same way as I did for the last card, except this time I am going to die cut it. Now, I don't always get the coordinating dies for sentiments particularly, but I do love the dies for these sets that Honeybee do. I just love how they cut it out. It's just, yeah, it's beautiful. They just cut so well. They're so close, and all the little extra bits get cut away, and yeah, I really do like that. Oh, I decided to use the Paint Me Golden powder from my trio for the centre of my flower and my Hiss powder for the leaves. Now, unfortunately, I got a bit mixed up with my camera here. I paused it and forgot I paused it. So when I went to pause it, I was actually pressing play. And when I went to hit play, I was actually pressing pause. So I missed putting that flower together, but it literally is just liquid glue on each bit, a layer at a time. You just want to hold them down to make sure that they get really good adhesion. I decided that for this I was going to make a bottle tag because A, I'm still making for Christmas and B, I just think it's nice to give thank you gifts. I like to give gifts to my the teachers at my children's schools as well. So this bottle gift tag die is actually from Trinity Stamps. So I cut it twice, once from some pattern paper that's from Alexandra Renke, and then once from a plain paper so that I could add those together. It's just going to give it a little bit more bulk and make it a bit more sturdy. I'm adding some blue ink blending onto that pattern paper side that's going to be the front. So I'm using Distress Oxides just purely because they happened to be on my desk. So I'm using Speckled Egg. I really love the tone of that blue. It's really beautiful. And then I'm going to add some broken china just sort of to the bottom just to deepen up that colour a little bit. And I'm letting that colour, that ink, naturally fade off into just the pattern paper colour. I wanted it to sort of very subtly evoke watery kind of background, and the red flower, I just made it red because I felt like that was a bit Christmassy. Just any flower made red makes it Christmassy to me. So I wanted to add some splatter just to give a little bit more into that background, and then because I'm using that black, this is a watercolour brush marker from Ultinew, because I'm using that black one, it's going to pull the black from the sentiment through and just kind of tie it all in together a little bit more. Leave that to dry, don't mess with it because it's so easy to smudge. And once it was dry, I'm just positioning my flower and leaves where I think I'd like them to go. Once I'm happy with the position of those leaves, I'm going to really carefully lift that flower up. And then I'm going to glue the leaves in place and then I'll add the flower back on. So because I want to make sure that those leaves don't move and they stay exactly where I want them to, what I like to do is sort of pin the bottom of the leaf with my thumb whilst I lift up the other side of the leaf and add glue underneath and then just put that down. So I'm not actually lifting it, I'm just kind of raising it like as if it was a flap. And I did decide, just to help that flower sit a little better, I was going to cut those 3 little stem bits off my leaf, adding lots and lots and lots of strong liquid glue because this is going to be used, it's going to be on a bottle. I don't want it to fall off on my recipient, or even worse, before it actually makes it to my recipient. Again, I'm holding that down just while that glue starts to set. It does take a little while to dry, but it kind of, within a few seconds, it gets tacky and it really holds on. I've added my sentiment to the top there, and I decided I don't need any embellishment on this. There's enough detail and it's beautiful enough as it is. I love how it came out. I hope that you like it. Don't forget that this is a hop, so you need to, if you have a look at the details in my description below, that gives you the link for the Google form for you to fill in for prizes, and also I have the link to the next person in the hop. I will meet you over there. I hope you enjoyed my stop, and yeah, Have a lovely, happy, safe and wonderful week. Stay crafty. Bye.